let's have first the physical parameters of water quality. So the first one is turbidity. So turbidity, so in other words, or in layman terms, that is how clear the water is. So how clear the water is. So what causes turbidity in the water? So what causes turbidity in the water are those solid particles or suspended particles in the water. So those suspended particles, when you say suspended, they are not located on the top and they are not located on the bottom. So they are just floating, suspended in the water. So and what they did, why we can, for example, those of the soil, diba? Some of the soil particles, small particles of soil, can be suspended in water. But if we saw water that is with soil in it, diba, suspended with water, so what comes to our mind is that water is dirty. Why? Because that solids can be a hiding place of bacteria. So that is why, and other microscopic organism. So that is why we can conclude that it is dirty because those solids may contain bacteria. Ayan. And it requires disinfection. And later on, we'll discuss the treatment of water, how we can remove the turbidity in the water, and so on. So it requires treatment for it to have a low turbidity. So when you say low turbidity, clear water. So when you say highly turbid water, so yan, mas malabo na water. Okay, so if we say good quality of water, low turbidity. So poor quality of water, high turbidity. So their relationship is inversely proportional. So they are inverse, right? And according to the Philippine National Standards for Drinking Water, the allowed concentrations of those or of turbidity in the water is 5 to 10 ppm. Again, ppm is a unit of concentration and ppm is parts per million. Yeah, so the first laboratory experiment conducted to measure the turbidity in water is Jackson Candle turbidimeter, or by Jackson Candle. But nowadays, so since there are a lot of nasa generation of digital technology, no? So we have those mga sensors or those instruments that in just a second, second lang, mariread na agad yung quality of water. So yan. So the second one rather is, so temperature. So the second one is temperature. So here the temperature, why temperature is very important? Because some living organisms are highly affected with the sudden changes in temperature. Like the fish, so a sudden increase in temperature can cause fish kill. So like human being, our normal body temperature is 37. If nagiging 37.5 or 38, kahit 1 degree lang yan, it affects our body metabolism. So same with the fishes and other organism in the water. So at sudden increase in temperature like 5 degrees Celsius may cause death of the fish or fish kill. That is why fish kills occur commonly during summer. So during summer siya nag-occur. And one thing also is when there is an increase in temperature in the water, oxygen are released in the water. So when the oxygen are released in the water, what happened? Those organisms that live in the water mag-aagawan ng oxygen. Like for example, if you have a fish cage and very hot temperature, so the fish are stressed of the changes in the temperature in the water, plus the release of oxygen. So therefore, that is why fish kill occur in summer because of those changes in temperature. So that affects their system, so their metabolism. The next one is odor, of course. Odor, di ba? Like Lasa Lake. So we can conclude that the water quality of Lasa Lake by its odor. So right, actually the odor of Lasa Lake must worst during sunny days. Why? During sunny days, because the water evaporates. So the water evaporates, so the odor in the water also goes with the water vapor or the evaporated water. So mas ano siya, malangsa, right? Mas malangsa siya during actually summer days. So yeah, so the water could be expressed as fishy, earthy, or grassy, but Lasa Lake, as what they have said, smell like a rotten egg. So, di ba, mabaho, di ba? And the common instrument to measure the odor of the water is osmoscope. An osmoscope. So, but osmoscope is very expensive. Lasal Das Marinas, we don't have osmoscope to measure the odor of the water. It's just, naamoy lang natin na mabaho siya. So, yan. And, kailangan siya ng solution kasi it's very, annoying. And, of course, when you say mabaho ang water or mabaho ang Lasa Lake, therefore, it has a poor water quality, right? The next one is taste. Taste? May taste ba ang water? Yes, may taste. So, even if you haven't tried, try to compare the tap water, the distilled water, and the mineral water. So, they differ in taste. So, bakit? Because distilled water is pure water. So, wala siyang minerals, wala, as in pure water. So, that is why it tastes as flat. Well, the mineral water, meron siyang certain taste. If you're going to ask me, I can say is, medyo siya, may lasa na medyo manamis-tamis, parang ganun. Pero hindi siya same with sugar, but comparing it with the distilled water, mas may lasa ang mineral water as compared with distilled water. How about tap water? Tap water, right? Tap water is, minsan, pag nasobrahan ng chlorine, di ba? Iba ang kanyang smell and taste basta sobrahan ng chlorine. So therefore, water has a taste, and the taste of the water depend on what are the dissolved minerals or substances in the water, and also what are the chemicals that present in the water. So yan. For the chemical parameters of water quality, the first one is dissolved oxygen. So maybe some of you have aquarium in your house. Do you have aquarium in your house? So, yeah, so if you have aquarium in your house, so have you tried to observe? If you're going to observe, when there is aerator, where you can find the fish. If there is no aerator, where you can find the fish. So from the word dissolved oxygen, that is the amount of oxygen that dissolve in the water. Of course, if there is an aerator in your aquarium, you can observe that the fish can freely swim on the different part of the aquarium. But if you don't have an aerator, you will observe that the fish will stay here on the top of the surface of the water. Why? Because they are trying to get or have some oxygen from the air. So yeah, so trying to inhale oxygen from the air. So, especially if they are crowded, they are going to get some oxygen in the air. And if you don't have aerator, so dito sila sa taas mag-i-stay. And also, in terms of water quality, the ideal oxygen level is 8 to 10 ppm. 8 to 10 parts per million. Why? If it is below 8, the water can be acidic. Or if it is kukulangin ng water. So pag kukulangin ng water, meaning kukulangin ng oxygen rather yung water, what happened? Magkakaroon ng very little or no oxygen taste or magiging undesirable siya. And of course, magkakaroon ng fish kill but very low dissolved oxygen at a level of less than 4 parts per million of dissolved oxygen, na i-stress na yung fish. At below 2, mamamatay na ang fish. So yan, pag namatay na yung mga fish, of course, yan, problem yan. And at very high dissolved oxygen level, so yan, we know that oxygen is a chemical, right? Oxygen is a chemical. With the presence of oxygen, too much oxygen in the water, it can cause oxidation process. So, when you say oxidation process, the active chemical there is oxygen. So, nagkakaroon ng corrosion or rusting yung mga metal pipes. Okay, so the next one is the biochemical oxygen demand, or the BOD. So when you say biochemical oxygen demand, who demanded water? So bakit there is a demand of oxygen? Who demanded water? Actually, it is the bacteria. It is the bacteria that needs oxygen. So we all know that in ecology, bacteria are what? Decomposers, right? So they are decomposers. So they're going to decompose those organic substances into a micro sizes or into a micronutrients that is available for plants to grow. So that is why if your water has many waste products, so yung mga waste products, for example, you have kitchen waste, you have your mga fruit peelings, mga meat left over in your kitchen sink. So what happened? Your water, your wastewater has high BOD. When it has high BOD, the decomposer, the bacteria, need more oxygen to decompose those nutrients in the water. Or when you say nutrients, the waste in the water. So what happened? So therefore, when you say that your water has a high BOD, what happened to your water quality? You have a poor water quality when you have a high BOD. Okay, so they are inversely. High BOD, low water quality. Same with chemical oxygen demand. It's still the bacteria that requires oxygen so that the chemical component in your water can be decomposed. So the bacteria need oxygen so that they decompose those bacteria, those chemical present in the water, and they are the same. They're inversely proportional. When your COD is high, you have a low water quality. Okay. So the next one is solids. So there are a lot of solids in the water, and they are classified as suspended solids. So those are solids. So as mentioned, those suspended solids affect the turbidity of the water. So also we have here the dissolved solids and the total suspended solids. So when you say suspended solids, so those that affect the turbidity of the water. So if this one is a filter, you insert this filter here in between. So this, after filtration process, these solids that are trapped on top of the filter are what we call the suspended solids. And the solid that pass through the filter here is what we call as dissolved solids. So if this dissolved solids, we're going to evaporate these dissolved solids. So some of the water, of course, will evaporate and some of the solids are retained on the top of the evaporator. Yung nare-retain sa top of the evaporator is what we call as total suspended solids. So yan. And solids affects the water quality. So more solids ang water, poor water quality. So the next one is hardness. So what causes hardness in water? So what is hard water? So in the first place, when you say hard water, those are water that has a high concentration of calcium and magnesium in the water. So if you're trying to observe in your house, check the shower heads. If your shower heads are color white, so it shows that your water in your house or household water supply is hard water. Or the other way around, if you're going to check your boiling kettle, if there are water on your boiling kettle, there are white deposits on the sides. Yung nakikita nyong white, hindi yan dirty. That is actually calcium and magnesium deposits. So those are limestone deposit in your kettle, in your boiling pot. So yan. And hard water has more than 300 milligram per liter. And soft water has 75 milligram per liter. Kasi in the industry, they use soft water. What is soft water? So again, soft water by which its hardness 75 milligram per liter. And in the industry, they use soft water to avoid clogging. If they use kasi hard water, so those piping system might clog. Pag nagka-clog yun, isang malaking problema yon sa kanila. Kasi magdi-declogging pa. So, and magkakaroon ng high pressure if nagka-clogging. So, yung water pressure tumaas, di ba? And also sa mga boiler. So, that can cause more fuel. If the wallings of those boiler has very thick, so matagal mag-boil yung water kasi merong na kumakapal na yung wall ng boiler. So, yan. And soft water is undesirable for public water supply. Why? So, why? Kasi maybe some of you have tried taking a bath with distilled water. Kasi distilled water is a soft water. Kasi that is pure water. So, it doesn't have calcium and magnesium. So, if you've tried taking a bath with distilled water, undesirable siya in terms of matagal matanggal yung sabon, maaksaya sa water, right? Or let's say, have you tried when you were a kid, maligo sa ulan? Kasi rainwater, before it touches the ground, before it touches in a surface, so yan, so kung from the clouds, tapos umulan, pumatak, hindi siya na-touch ng any solid surface, that is soft water. So yan, kaya yung pag try yung maligo sa ulan, tapos nagsasabon kayo, so matagal matanggal yung sabon, kasi rainwater is soft water. So, okay, next one is iron, manganese, copper, and zinc. So, iron and manganese has a bitter taste in drinking water. So, in Philippines, we don't have that much iron and manganese deposits. So, usually, these are problems in areas where there's a high concentration of iron and manganese. So, yan. So, undesirable siya for drinking water. And also cause turbidity in the water. So, sometimes, if you are using, have you tried, or even sa commercial ng TV commercial na tubig poso daw naninilaw ang damit. Why naninilaw? What cause naninilaw ng damit? That is actually because of iron. Because yung piping na ginamit sa tubig poso is iron pipe. So, of course, when they pump the water, some of the iron are dissolved in the water. So, that is why nagkakaroon ng naninilaw ang damit because of the presence of iron. So, the other one is copper and zinc. So, with copper and zinc, so yan, undesirable taste and drinking water and also a milky appearance to the water. Okay? So, the next is fluorides and chlorides. So, fluorides and chlorides are very essential to us. They are commonly used in disinfection. So, yan. Here in Philippines, chlorides is the most affordable disinfecting agent, right? So, yan. Fluorides is present in our toothpaste, but it should be in a moderate amount because too much usage of fluorides can cause discoloration or dental fluorosis. So, yan. So, that is why it is advisable to brush your teeth 2 to 3 times a day. And excessive can cause fluorosis or discoloration. So, chlorides, as mentioned earlier, is the more commonly used a disinfection agent or disinfecting agent. So, that is why, kasi ano lang siya, very affordable and yan, for public supply, di ba? And also, the chlorides has a salty taste. So, have you ever wondered, all our waste goes into the ocean, right? All our waste, ocean or do you see water is naging catchment, all kind of waste. But then, why do we love to swim in the ocean? Diba? It's just so, God made everything balanced na He, diba, in chemical terms or chemically, He put lot of salt in the ocean so that the ocean can be cleaned up. The concentration is 35,000 milligram per liter. Para malinis ang ocean kasi ang dumi ng ocean. Nilagyan nilang madaming salt. So yan, that cause salty taste is chlorine. So that is why naliligo pa rin tayo sa chlorine or rather sa salt water or sa sea water kahit na alam natin na madumi. So yan. So that is the technical explanation. Bakit naliligo pa rin tayo sa sea water kahit na madumi? Because of the chloride level that can cause the bacteria's death. So, nalilinis pa din ang dagat. Yan. So, next is sulfates and phosphorus. So, sulfates are the byproduct of what? Bacteria. When those bacteria decomposes the waste products, they releases sulfates. So, like for example, in Lasa Lake. So, Lasa Lake, nowadays, majority is from square canteen, yung wastewater. So, as those bacteria decomposes the waste from square canteen, it releases sulfates. But then, when those sulfates react with water, some of it released as hydrogen sulfide gas. So, it is the hydrogen sulfide gas yung naaamoy ninyo na mabaho from Lasa Lake. It is actually the hydrogen sulfide gas. So, kung mabaho ang lake, madaming waste. So, yeah, madaming waste kasi madaming bacteria that decomposes the waste product. So, as those bacteria decomposes the waste product, it releases hydrogen sulfide gas. Okay? So, the other one is phosphorus. So, phosphorus is actually, so yan, that is one of the essential element for us because phosphorus is one of the element that decomposes protein. At we all know that we cannot live without protein. We need protein. But then, yeah, during, for example, in a square canteen, during washing of their kitchen products or mga kitchen waste, so some of those mga tiny meat di ba, yung mga maliliit na mga meat. So, it contains protein. So, as the bacteria decomposes that one, nagiging phosphorus. And phosphorus is one of the nutrients when in high concentration can cause eutrophication of the lake. So, when you say eutrophication, there is an algal bloom. So, that is why also we can observe that there is too much algal bloom in Lasa Lake during summer. Because algae are autotrophs. They are producer. Dumadami sila during summer. Okay? Next is alkalinity. So when you say water, the ideal pH of the water is 7. Pag below 7, basic. Pag above 7, acid. Or baliktad. Ano ba? Any violent reaction? Pag below 7 is acidic. Yan, ako narinig na reaction sa inyo ha. Pag above 7, basic water or alkaline water. So yan. So, pag alkaline yung water, what will happen? So, of course, undesirable siya. But, there's one nagtanong sa akin, no? Is it beneficial to drink alkaline water? Kasi, di ba, yung ibang water refilling station, parang they are marketing an alkaline water. Is it good drinking alkaline water? But as long as it is between a tolerable limit, siguro at pH 8, okay lang yun. Kasi, maybe, to balance everything, kasi we are consuming acidic, right? We are consuming soft drinks. Because soft drinks is an acid. We are consuming juice. Juice is an acid. We are eating sour fruits, an acidic. So, some of us, like me, has hyperacidity. So, no, ako meron akong hyperacidity. So, drinking alkaline water is beneficial indeed to neutralize our body pH. So, yan, okay? Next is the biological parameters of water quality. So, from the word biological, of course, those are present in the water that affects the water quality. So, mostly they are microorganisms. So, microorganisms. So, actually, according to the microbiologist, ilang percent ang bad bacteria? So, actually, the bad bacteria is only what? Ilang percent? 1%. But, one thing there is, when the good bacteria are not in their natural habitat, nagiging bad bacteria siya. Okay? So, for example, this coliform group. Coliform group are very helpful in our intestine. So, very helpful intestine kasi they aid in our digestion. They are part of our digestive system. But, when there is no proper waste management, tapos nakikita natin yung yung mga aso or yung mga bata, yung iba or yung ibang tao napupo sa river. So walang proper waste management. So what happened? The coliform group goes into a body of water. And if there is no proper treatment of water, pag nainom natin yung water with coliform group, sasakit ang tiyan natin or can cause death. Kasi when those coliform group are not in their natural habitat, so kung nasa water na siya tapos mainom natin, so nagiging bad bacteria na siya. Ayan, it's good example. Ayan, so and bacteria are commonly 2 micrometer in sizes. So they are present in the water or in the food that we eat. Ayan, and when they are not in their natural habitat, pag mahina ang immune system mo, magkakasakit ka. Right? And bacteria are named according to their shape. Rod shape, like for example, lactobacillus, right? Have you heard that one? Rod shape yan. So pag streptococcus. So So, coccus meaning spherical. Spirulina, so the shape is spiral. So, yan. They are named according to their shape. And bacteria can multiply very, very fast. So, yeah. So, maybe in your differential equation subject, have you computed the growth of bacteria in just certain hours? So, ang bilis lang mag-multiply, di ba? Sa DE, so it can grow by binary fission. So, yan. And in their favorable temperature. So, which is more favorable temperature ng bacteria, at room temperature or at cold temperature? So, like for example, if you have a food left over at nighttime, iniwan mo lang sa table. Kinabukasan, panis na. Because the bacteria grows what? Exponentially. If you put that food inside the fridge, so it will take time bago siya mapanis because the cold temperature hinder or prevent hindi naman siya prevent, but lower the reproduction of bacteria. Yan. Or some of the bacteria died at 100 degrees Celsius, diba? So, next one is the algae. So, yan, Lasa Lake. Ay, nagko-color green because of the algae. So, have you heard a joke? Have you heard a joke about Lasa Lake? So, there's a joke about Lasa Lake. Why Lasa Lake is color green? Kasi ma'am, Tagalasal. Tagalasal daw eh. So, have you heard that one or not? And kailan daw hindi nag-green ang Lasa Lake? Pag wash day. I don't know with that joke. Narinig ko lang sa kanila. Kasi nag-wash day daw hindi naka-green ang Lasa Lake. But anyway. So, under the microscope, this is the structure of green algae. So, color green. So, pag red tide, what is the color of the water? Pag red tide. So, red tide are species of algae that produces red algae produces neurotoxins. So, that is pag merong red tide, bawal kumain ng shells or mga shellfish or mga other mga tawag doon yung mga shells, yung mga crabs, mga ganon during pag nagkakaroon ng red tide because those red algae produces neurotoxins. So, yan, it will kill your brain. Pag nag-shutdown na yung brain, we all know that brain is this CPU of our body. So, under the microscope, color red ang algae. Okay, but the seawater is not color red. Only the algae ang color red. Ayan. So, this one, of course, virus. So, the coronavirus. Why is it the virus is very, very hard to control? Because virus is smaller than bacteria. It can pass through the filter of the bacteria. So that is why it is advisable to use 3-layer mask. So yung mga mask natin dapat 3 layers para it will be very, very difficult for the virus to pass through. Kasi virus are smaller than bacteria. And also, there is no such as medicine or let's say, parang gamot for walang like, di ba, bacteria, meron tayong antibiotics for bacteria, but there's no such for virus. So, yan, kasi virus is very, very, especially pag new virus, very hard to control. And that is why, vaccine, yung immunity. So, di ba, yung immunity natin, so vaccine ang nagiging answer. So, if you have a stronger immunity, you are less likely to get ill with virus. Okay.